Here is the show and tell in a better light of the quilts. So I will try and keep my camera steady. Some of you commented that you got a bit dizzy with me moving the camera around, so apologies for that. So this black and white one is one of my favorites. I like them all, but this particular one is it's sort of simple and yet very effective. It's half square triangles in lights and darks. Obviously you can see it's black and white with a little bit of cream. And we have I think it's a 2-inch border and then some 5-inch squares making the final border, and one of them is just blown off the fence. This next one is just basically simple again. And what I've done with a lot of these, because I'm practicing and learning the skills, I have just taken the things that other people are selling and bought them on Facebook Marketplace and then just used them as practice. And I have had them quilted professionally. So this is very bright. I love hot pink, and there's jelly rolls. If you're not familiar with jelly rolls, they're 2-inch strips in lots of different patterns in a particular range, and they are very useful. So I'll just pour. So this next one again is just 5-inch squares. I'm going to lose it off the display fence, and again we've used some jelly rolls around the edge and bordered it with this lovely pink. So I started my quilting journey again when we all got locked down because of the 2020 saga that we all went through, and started off the quilting hobby that I'd done a little bit about 25 years earlier. So I'm really loving it. So those are the first 3 practice quilts. This next one was part of a block every week. A lady called Pat Sloan has a Facebook group, and she gave us a block that we did each week. And we'd alternate from a big 16-inch block like this one and to 12-inch blocks like this, and then down to 6-inch blocks like those ones, and then some infill bits. And then we didn't know what we were making while we were going through putting all those blocks together. So you kind of had to have your fabric sort of coordinating. And yeah, it was a bit of a look and see to what your quilt actually came out with in the end. And then we put this border around, which again I used jelly roll strips. That this is the one with the doggies on, and then we had half square triangles in a print and a white background fabric that we made the final border. Now all of these quilts were done out of scraps, or I've bought from somebody else's stash, and so I haven't gone out and bought a whole heap of fabric to put the quilt together. So I think I like that concept of scrappy quilts. So this one is a bit bigger. It's going to go on a single bed, or it'll just sit on the top of a queen mattress and look just quite decorative. So this next one is very bright, and again this I also like trying out. I will watch lots of YouTube videos about how to do things, and I'll just try things out. So this is a 4 patch, so you've got 4 2.5-inch pieces of fabric stitched together to make that 4 patch, and then I've just put a border using jelly roll strips again to make the block, and then each of them are stitched together. A small black border this time, and then jelly roll strip borders around the edge. And I sort of run out, so you have to be a bit creative about how your fabric's going to fit. And yeah, that's part of the fun bit, I think, of actually doing that. And one of them has fallen off, but never mind. This one is a little bit bigger, and again this was another practice. Now in this one, there is, in this particular block, alternate blocks, there is something that I did with just following somebody's on YouTube, and I didn't really like what was coming out again, how it was working. This is what they call Batik fabric, which is most of the cotton fabric is like 100% cotton, And this is kind of like a shiny stuff, and the pattern is on both sides of the fabric, and I've decided that I don't actually like sewing with that, so I probably won't buy any more of this kind of fabric. So I started to follow this particular quilting design of somebody's YouTube video, didn't like it, and the blocks sat away for quite some time, and then I just kind of ended up thinking, oh, let's put them together in a sort of triangle. So the things in the middle don't quite come together right, but that's okay. And we ended up with this, it's almost like a cornerstone. So then this block, which I made later, was half square triangles again, and you've got the darks, and they form like what we call a pinwheel. That's like a pinwheel block. And then I put the jelly roll strips around the edge and did the black on the corners, which we call cornerstone. And that sort of starts to make a little, I don't know what you call that, diamondy thing in the middle. So then I put the whole blocks together. As you come, you can see that there is the triangle-y ones, like the blue one there, and then you've got the sort of more square ones with the oh gosh, just gone out of my head what that name of that block is, the one that looks like a windmill. And it came together, I thought, quite well. And we've got Sydney, who for some reason has decided he wants to walk across the top of the quilts. And that falling off the fence was perfect timing for coming on with the video. So this last one again is some of that Batik fabric, which I probably won't buy again. And then this is cotton fabric bought from we call it Spotlight in New Zealand. I think it would be like Walmart equivalent if you're in America. And so it's a cheaper fabric, not the better quality that you've seen in some of the others. And again, this was somebody else's pattern, or these blocks were, and these blocks were somebody else's pattern I watched off YouTube and thought, right. And then I suddenly realised I don't really like that, so I started to just play around, created this little quilt, which it's got the repeat of this bottom row on the side that's over the fence. This one I wasn't sure whether to actually get it quilted, because it costs you quite a bit of money to quilt it. And that was because I used like a polyester fabric on the edge, and I wasn't really happy with that. I think one of the things I've learned over my 2-3 years now of doing the quiltings is that it really does pay to have the same type of fabric through the quilt, because I think as you start to use and wear them, the fabrics behave differently as they get washed and what have you, but that's okay. It kind of makes the quilts sort of homely, I believe. These will all get used. Once I get the bindings on, I've got to put the binding on around the edge. I've got a bit of work to get all that done, so they will all get used. And yeah, that's part of the beauty of having quilts. So these are a bit of an update of the quilts that are almost finished. Maybe over this next few weeks I can get the borders on these and get them completely finished. And there we've got Chloe and Bailey just enjoying the view of the quilts.